Hi everybody. So 2019 is just about all wrapped up, and that makes this a great time to sit and reflect on the year that was. So we drove all kinds of off-road machines in 2019, and in this video I want to talk about which ones were the most influential of the year, which machines came out and really changed their respective segments. So I'll dig through all the old footage, I'll show you me riding those machines, and we're gonna count this one down from 5 to 1. So let's get started right now at number 5. But before we get to number 5, let me throw in an honorable mention for the Tesla Cybertruck. No, we didn't drive it this year, but the numbers that were revealed with the Cybertruck are absolutely incredible, and this thing should be a formidable off-roader. So hopefully in the next year, we will take this thing out on the trail, but for now on this list, it gets our honorable mention. Now on to number 5. Coming in at number 5, and the first machine on our list is the Kawasaki TRX KRX 1000. Why is this machine a big deal? Well, it is Kawasaki's first ever sport side-by-side. Of course, Kawasaki has a long history in dirt bikes and in side-by-sides. Actually, Kawasaki claims that the Mule was the first ever side-by-side. So this brand is definitely deeply entrenched in the off-road world, and with the rise of side-by-sides over the last decade, you have to play in this space to really be taken seriously, and I think that is why Kawasaki jumped in. Now, they didn't go right for the top of the market. They didn't go after those crazy turbocharged machines from Polaris and Can-Am. They introduced a naturally aspirated engine in the KRX, and they made sure that their machine was ready to tackle the biggest desert whoops. Now, the KRX is certainly a big machine. It's wide, it's long, and that's exactly why it feels so at home out there in the desert. It's not really an East Coast machine. It is pretty focused, and that's why it only comes in at number 5, because you can only be so influential when you're really sort of aimed at one specific area. And in my opinion, the KRX is really a desert runner. Of course, you could put it into the trails to get it through the trees, but that's not what it was really meant for. And in the short time that the KRX has been on sale, I've actually seen quite a few out in the wild. There's already some tour companies out in Moab, Utah that have bought whole fleets of KRXs. So I think that there's probably a lot of customers out there who bleed green, who love Kawasaki, and they've just been waiting for Kawi to finally roll out a sports side-by-side, and now you have your machine. Oh yeah, and it doesn't hurt that the KRX is awesome. The suspension setup is incredible. It eats up those whoops with ease. It's a really fun machine to drive. It has a couple little unique features like a sunroof. It's a little thing, but it might be enough to sway you. So yes, number 5 on our most influential off-roaders of 2019 is the KRX. Coming in at number 4 on our list is the SeaDoo Spark Tricks. Now, I know that the SeaDoo Spark and the Spark Tricks, they're not new for 2019. So how can I put this on the list? Well, the Spark is honestly so influential in PWCs that I think it is still making an impact. The reason being, it reinvented the entry-level PWC. These machines, like a lot of off-road machines these days, prices were climbing and climbing, and people were getting priced out of the market, and here comes SeaDoo with the Spark, a PWC with a price tag at $5,000 for a brand new machine. That's just so affordable, and you can tell that the Spark made waves because both Yamaha and Jet Ski followed suit. Yamaha rolled out the EX series just a year or two later, and Jet Ski just this year in 2019 brought out a brand new entry-level model because Jet Ski just wasn't playing at the low end of the market, and neither was Yamaha. So the SeaDoo Spark Tricks is definitely an influential model, and it remains influential because those other brands are still reacting to it, and they haven't quite been able to meet that low price tag yet. SeaDoo is still the cheapest PWC on the market. And what you're getting for that money Honestly, it doesn't suck. Now, the Spark is definitely really lightweight. It's made with a lot of plastic. It does come across feeling cheaper than some of those, more established models, but that's what you expect. However, it's super fun to ride. You can see me here doing water wheelies, and that's exactly what the Spark TRX is designed for. The TRX model specifically has a nozzle which can go even further down into the water. You can adjust the angle of it. That brings your bow right up high in the water, and you're able to do those wheelies. For such a cheap machine, this thing provides an absolute epic amount of fun, and that's why it's so influential. SeaDoo really took a swing here and tried something new. At the low end of the market, they figured, you know what, there's a lot of customers who don't need the crazy high horsepower and 3-seat models, and they went for it, and I would say that the Spark has been a home run. You can't get something that cheap, brand new, and that fun from any other brand, and that is still the case in 2019, and that's why the Spark TRX comes in at number 4. At number 3, we actually have 2 different pickup trucks, and I'll tell you why. They are the GMC Sierra AT4 Heavy Duty and the Ford Super Duty Tremor. Now, these 2 trucks both come in at number 3 because they are reinventing the heavy duty off-road segment. Now, of course, the Ram Power Wagon has been around for years now, and it established this segment, so for sure it is influential, but now the others have followed suit, and both GMC and Ford took a different direction than Ram did. They saw what the Power Wagon did, and they did something different. Both of these new trucks, the Sierra AT4 and the Tremor, are still really designed for hard work, and that's what the Power Wagon wasn't. The Power Wagon lost its tow rating and its payload capability because of its off-road capability, but the Sierra and the Tremor, they don't give up those tow ratings. Sure, they might remain a little stiffer than the Power Wagon, but you can still tow massive amounts of weight, and they're set up to go off-road. Now, this year in heavy duties, you have to say that is the most influential move made, because off-road versions of these trucks, they're becoming more popular across the entire industry, so it just makes sense that Ford and General Motors would jump into this space. So sure, you could say that the Power Wagon was the most influential truck that drew these 2 in, but I think it's interesting that GM and Ford took sort of a different tack at doing it. And don't forget, both the Sierra and the Tremor, you can get the big diesels under the hood. Of course, in the Power Wagon, you can't. So these big heavy-duty off-road pickups are definitely going to be influential, and that's why they're tied at the number 3 spot. We're getting close to the end of our list now, guys. Number 2, we have another side-by-side. It's the Honda Talon. So this Honda was a long time coming, a lot like the KRX actually. There's a lot of people who love Honda. Honda's been in off-road for years, off-road racing with dirt bikes for years and years, has a rich history of ATV racing even, but they never had a sport side-by-side, and like I mentioned earlier, these things are becoming so popular these days. If you want to play in the off-road space and you want to be taken seriously, you pretty much have to get into this segment, and now Honda is in with the Talon. Honda may have taken its time introducing the Talon, but there's no doubt that this is a well thought out model. First of all, it's offered in 2 different flavors. That is brilliant. You get the 1000X, that's more set up for tight handling and East Coast trails. It's also slightly skinnier at 64 inches wide, or the 1000R. That gets an extra 4 inches of width, and it gets better suspension, which is set up for desert running and eating up the whoops. So what Honda did that Kawasaki didn't is Honda is offering you a choice. They're really giving you 2 different models tailored towards 2 different things. And then not even a year later, still in 2019, Honda rolled out the 4-seat Talon. So you can already get a 4-seat model. The 4-seat model has Fox live valve shocks. So, Honda really went off with the Talon and made sure that even though, they introduced the one base machine by itself, now you can get all kinds of different Talon variants, and there's even a turbocharger you can get through Honda accessories accessories if you want to really pump up the power. Now that is because Honda, like Kawi, they didn't chase the top end of the market. They didn't go after those crazy turbocharged Razors and Maverick X3s. They went naturally aspirated, coming in right around 100 horsepower. But that's not really what's influential here. What truly is all the different technologies that Honda has brought into the off-road space. First of all, dual clutch transmission. That's probably the biggest one. No one else has a dual clutch, and the shifts in the Talon really are impressive. They're incredibly fast, and I think my favorite thing is they're almost imperceptible. You really don't feel that transmission doing its work, which is excellent when you're out there riding on the trail. Now I will say that the 1000R, I don't think it's quite as good as the KRX when you get out into the desert, but once again, the KRX only has one model, one flavor. If you don't want that 1000R, get the 1000X. It is an excellent machine. I ran it through all my local trails, and man, did I have a lot of fun with that thing. So there is no doubt that in 2019, Honda breaking into the sport side-by-side segment with the Talon is definitely a big deal, and this is going to be an influential machine for years to come. And coming in at number 1 on our list of the most influential off-roaders of 2019 is the Jeep Gladiator Rubicon. The return of the Jeep pickup truck has been talked about for years now, and it was back in 2005. That's over 10 years ago that Jeep rolled out a Gladiator concept at the Detroit Auto Show. So from that concept to the time the truck actually showed up, it took a while. But hey, the Gladiator is here, and it is a great little mid-sized truck, especially once you slap the Rubicon package on it. Now this has to be the most influential off-roader of the year because it's diving into what is, in my opinion, probably the most competitive off-road truck segment, and that is in mid-sized trucks. You have the Colorado ZR2, the Tacoma TRD Pro, and now the Gladiator Ruby. Now these small trucks inherently are the best at off-roading just because of their proportions. They're smaller, they're lighter, they're just going to be better once the pavement ends, and that's exactly why these mid-size off-roaders, once again, in my opinion, this is probably the most heated part of the off-road truck segment. And this truck has to be called influential because Jeep didn't just phone it in. I think a lot of us were worried that the Gladiator would show up and just be a Wrangler with a bed, but it's definitely not. It gets its own unique suspension setup, a lot of its own unique features, things like a cool Bluetooth speaker that plugs in behind the rear seats, little things like that. But then also, this truck has been built to work. It doesn't get a paltry tow rating like a Wrangler at 2,500 or 3,000 pounds. This Gladiator in Rubicon trim can tow up to 7,000 pounds. So this is still a seriously hard-working truck, and it also has all of those off-road goodies which make it the best off-roader in the segment, although maybe not if you consider the breakover angle because it has a long wheelbase and high-speed off-roading. This isn't the best truck at going super fast through the desert, but if you're doing any tricky, technical rock crawling out of all the mid-sizers, you definitely want the Jeep Gladiator Rubicon. And that's just one of the many reasons why this has to be, in my opinion, the most influential off-roader introduced in 2019, period. So guys, that's it for this video. Make sure you go below, leave a comment, and let me know what you think of this list. Do you agree with me? Are there any vehicles that I missed that came out in the off-road segment in 2019? I don't think so, and I really do stand by the fact that that Ruby, it has to be the coolest off-roader of the year. But anyways, go below, let me know what you guys think. Hit like, hit subscribe while you're down there, and of course, keep on coming back to the channel as we bring you the latest news, views, and real-world reviews. See ya.